This is going to be part 2 of the crucial keys for Spence, his outside game. And so I'm going to mention some things from part 1, talking about the foundations like the entry or step in feint and the level change feint and how those set up shots. And so it's good if you go and watch that video first so that you can get an idea of some of the things I'm going to be looking out for. But we'll just get into it. We're working mostly off the Ugas fight. And I always talk about his step in jab. And here he's going to use his step in jab to do something very important that he kept doing versus Ugas. And we'll talk about why. But he's going to use that step in jab to duck into range so he can get on the inside. And then there, if he has opportunities, he'll take them. But here he gets shut down because Ugas puts his weight on his neck. And so I'm going to show some more examples of him ducking to get onto the inside. And we're going to see how he works from there. I mentioned the same thing in the Kell Brook fight. How he's going to duck to get inside, and then it's going to open up opportunities for body shots. So he doesn't necessarily get to work inside sometimes off of that duck, but it can still allow for a singular or maybe a combo of body shots. So I think there's 2 primary reasons why he did that versus Ugas in particular. He does duck in a lot, but normally he ducks in behind a jab. With Ugas, he would just go straight in, head down, which is risky. And I don't think he's necessarily going to do that versus Crawford. But I think he was doing that versus Ugas because Ugas, for one, was staying right in front of him. And for 2, he would put up a reactive high guard to most of the stuff Spence was doing. And so that high guard basically made him a kind of a stationary target for Spence to enter in without getting punished. Then I want to talk about his defensive response and offensive response to different types of counters. And so when Ugas answers back, so he catches, counters. Spence backs up, comes back forward. When he answers the jab back, he catches, answers back with a jab. Spence still putting on pressure, answers back the jab again. Throws a left hand to the body, Ugas tries to answer back. And so this isn't really working for Ugas necessarily, because Spence is still keeping up the same pressure. His output's not lowering. Spence is still on the front foot. But then watch how he responds when he punches while Spence is punching. Boom. He catches Spence throwing the jab, and he hits him with the right hand, and then look, Spence is on the back foot. He's still throwing that jab, but he's a lot more tentative. And I'll show an even better example of that later on. That example's not the best because Spence momentum doesn't slow down that much. He gets his momentum back. But there's a point later on where Ugas hits him with a sharp counter. It doesn't even have that much power on it. And Spence gets off the gas pedal a little bit and he starts moving on his back foot. Other than the duck, another tool he uses to close the distance is the 1 and 4 to the body. And I think oftentimes when he throws the 4 or the backhand hook, the momentum carries him through to where he can crash into his opponent. So see how he closes the distance, and now he's on top of Ugas, and now he can do a little bit of inside work, but Ugas pushes him off. And now he has that body to body contact where he can work on the inside. So I call that a mini crash in. It's not necessarily as explosive and heavy as like a Sean Porter where he goes straight in full body forward. But Spence does have some momentum of his body going in the direction of his opponent. Then they clash, and then at that point they're on the inside. And so just like how for the step-in jab at the very beginning, that's set up by entry feints, him stepping, but not doing anything. It's a feint. The level changes set up each other. So the level change feint sets up the level change to the body and head, and the body and head set up each other. So here he's going to throw the 4, and he's going to level change. He's going to duck low, but then come up top, right? So that's a common technique that a lot of fighters use, especially Spence. But one of the issues we're going to focus on in this video, the biggest one in my opinion, is going to be balance and how long it takes him to reset. And so here, when he throws the left hand, his body is fully committed forward and he has to roll underneath. He has to, because if he doesn't, he's stuck in that compromised position. So he has to roll with the momentum, or else he's stuck in that position for a long period of time. And he was stuck there, but he was moving his head so he wouldn't be as vulnerable. But regardless, he was vulnerable because his weight was stuck on the front foot. One thing you have to do is not just counter Spence while he's punching, but counter him while he's entering. And so Ugas is going to do that right here. He's going to land a shot over top, and that's going to slow down Spence's momentum and get him a little bit defensive, which allows for the wrap up. And then a quick note, You can see he's trying that uppercut too, but it doesn't necessarily land. He gets like a part of the arm, I think, on Spence's face. So this is what I was talking about earlier with counters slowing down his momentum. So here, he's gonna start building momentum. This is his first extensive combo of the fight that I can remember, where he's throwing more than 3 punches probably. But he's gonna get caught coming in right there, and then look how he responds. He was coming forward throwing a combination. He's still probing and tapping with that jab, but he's on the back foot, right? And that wasn't even a heavy counter, but it was sharp. And he likes to be defensively responsible as much as he can, unless he feels like you're not really a threat. But if you threaten him enough, then he'll be really defensively responsible and be like, okay, let me not get caught. And so that's what I mean about shifting the momentum and trying to take control of the pace of the fight. Because I've said this before, and I absolutely believe this. If Crawford fights at Spence's pace, it won't end well for Crawford, because Spence's pace is too much. But Spence's pace can be slowed down if you're sharp enough with your counters and you punch him while he's punching. And so I want you to pay attention to Spence's back leg when he throws this 1-4. We're back on the 1-4 because this is a combo he was looking for a lot. And this is a combo he looks for a lot in general. But the way his foot comes off the ground, it's not that crazy, but you'll see why it's a problem later on. The reason why it's not that much of a problem is because when he does it, he has Ugas's body to lean on. So when he crashes in, it's a mini crash in. So when he leans in like that, he can lean on Ugas and not fall off balance. But we'll see what happens when Ugas isn't there to help support his weight. And here in this particular part of the round, he made this mistake several times within a few seconds. So he's going to exit into the outside, but as he's exiting, he puts his hand down, and luckily he was good at the range control to not get hit there. But then it's going to happen again. So hands down, and he tried to put his glove up in time, but the point is that he had to put his glove up because his glove was down. And then it's gonna happen again right here as he's exiting range, hands down, runs right into a backhand. So that's another thing to watch out for. You know, stay on balance, try and mix up your entries. Try to not throw the same combos at the same rhythm and tempos, which I mentioned in the first vid. And keep your hands up when you exiting from the inside of mid-range. And then, to be fair, after he got caught those few times, I think in the next few rounds he did a good job of adjusting and trying to glue that backhand to his jaw. I saw him really like making sure it was glued to his jaw. So that's good that he's cognizant that, okay, I can't keep making that mistake. So I was showing him being off balance, missing big swings, but here I'll show some examples of him getting countered once he misses those big swings. So right there, misses a big right hook, and then that runs him into a counter right hook from Ugas. And here he's not going to get countered, but again, pay attention to how long it takes him to reset back into a stance. And this is why I say the 1-4 often causes him to have a mini crash in or mini collision, because his momentum is going to force him to come forward. If you pay attention to this left leg here and how he brings that forward and breaks his stance. He has to, because he committed too much weight forward, and so his body just pulls him forward. It's gonna be another example of him throwing a 1-4. This is more interesting because he kind of sits there in range and he doesn't really move his head, and so he tries to throw uppercut after, but Ugas counters. So this is gonna be the last of these two crucial keys. Then I'm gonna make the Inoue versus Fulton full fight breakdown. Then I'm gonna look at Southpaws for Spence versus Crawford. Then I'm gonna drop the full breakdown, and then we will be done. Immortality Serum out.
How can I die if I'm immortal? Monster in my eyes, I'm immoral. I ain't got no time to be cordial. Ripping up shit, I'm making big decisions. I'm feeling fire and important.